Genovia Bank is offering Mia a mortgage loan at 6.75%, but the investor is demanding 7.25%. How many points will the bank need to charge Mia? So to do this problem, we have to understand a little bit about points. The word point is always going to basically tell you, hey, this is a fee that somebody's going to pay, and that 1 point will always cost the buyer 1% of the loan amount. Now, the points can be used for different things. Sometimes you'll have problems that talk about discount points, and that means the buyer is buying down a loan so they can get an interest rate that they want. In this case, we're going to talk about points as far as the investor yield. I know it may seem a little strange, but we go to banks to get money when we're out of money for a loan, and sometimes banks run out of money and they can borrow money. And when they do, they have an interest rate they need to pay back as well. So in this problem, the bank has borrowed money, and the investor that loaned this money said, hey, when you pay me back, I want 7.25%. Well, the funny thing about points is that when you pay a point and you're using it to do something with an interest rate, it will move an interest rate 1/8%. So if you want to go from 7% to 6 7/8%, it would cost you 1/8. Well, we need to know, well, how many eighths are there between 7 1/4 and 6.75%? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is switch it around. So to do this, we need to get from 6.75 to 7.25. I want to turn this into fractions, eighths as a matter of fact. So we know 6.75 is actually 6 3/4. And now we got to get that 6 3/4 to eighths. That would be 6 6/8. In case you're wondering how I did that, to go from 3/4 to 6/8, you've got to know, well, what did I do to get to 8? I would have said 4 times 2. That made 8. So then that means I would do that up here, and that gives me 6. So we know we've got 6 6/8. Let's turn this 7 1/4 into eighths. So 7 1/4 would become 7 2/8. So now I'm just going to count out how many eighths we've got. It would go 6 6/8, 6 7/8. Next is our full number, 8/8, which would be 7. Then 7 1/8, and then 7 2/8. So how many eighths, or how many steps did we have to take to get from 6 6/8 to 7 2/8? Well, we had to go 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. Sometimes I like to count the little humps. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we know it's going to require 4 points. So 4 points is the answer to the problem. As a bonus, let's talk about, well, what if the problem was asking us how much would the 4 points cost? Well, if the loan was for, let's just say, $120,000, to figure out how much 1 point would cost, we would multiply it times 1%. To know what 4 points would cost, we would multiply it by 4%, because every point is going to cost 1% of the loan amount. So I hope that helps, and if you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out and let me know.